What we have here is a weapon that might be top 5 overall, and every season we usually have 2 to 3 weapons to craft. PvE, PvP specific, weapons that are just nice to have, or maybe just flat out best in class, but the Ikelos V3 SMG is good enough that you really should have no issue crafting 2 of them, if you decide to do so. I did. One for PvE, the other for the Crucible, and I've done that once in the past year. The other was Brigand's Law. I value both roles here of Feeding Frenzy, Volt Shot. The other is Enhanced Demo, Enhanced Pugilist. I love them both. And as a side note, like, it has to be really, really good or do something particularly well for me to spend time on it, to craft a second one, I mean. Because I don't really have time to waste. I can't waste time. So with that said, I happily crafted 2 Ikelos SMGs. It's dominant. It looks like one of those weapons that's going to stand the test of time, especially how they've changed champions. It's craftable. It has everything that you want or need. Now, there is a debate on Rangefinder on this thing, and I have some fun things to show you as far as Rangefinder, some numbers and such. And as far as Rangefinder, I'm going to go through my stance as I go on. Lots of gameplay in the background, various roles, tap the trigger, threat detector, Feeding Frenzy Rangefinder, Feeding Frenzy Volt Shot, Perpetual Motion Volt Shot, and more. And there's no Peacekeepers gameplay for the Crucible, that would be too easy. So I want to talk about the craft, how I crafted it, why I did it that way, but I also want to talk about and discuss some perks that are really good, but are just going to fall short because other perks are available. There's still some variety and combinations that's going to be better for you than someone else, and there are things to go through as far as range stability, controller, M&K, all of it. So aggressive frame, 750 RPM, monster of the class, and it doesn't shy away from it. Like, it's very clear. Best range of them at 44. Stability, 25, the best. Some are at 7, like Cold Front. Handling, 62, the best by a mile. Next is Rendition at 55. Most are in the low 50s as far as handling. 24 reloads the best. Aim assist is at 37. Next best is 38. It's right there. 90 recoil, 14 zoom, 1.4. With its total package with perks, it feels kind of power creepy, like power creep the weapon. When you start looking at your barrel and magazine, again, it is best in class stat-wise. Nothing like Cold Front with 7 stability. So if you want more range, more stability, get it. But there are some things to consider. Recoil direction of 90, I'm gonna bring that back up. It's fine at 90, but value-wise, the safe barrels to get good stat points on important stats, Hammer Forged, Polygonal, Small Bore. Range stability or range and stability, no penalty with those barrels. They're good options, but after that, you get into specialized things. Like Polygonal is technically a specialized barrel for more stability, maybe for a controller player. I'm a controller player, I don't think that it needs it at all. But if you're looking at those things, just a flat stat bump, Hammer Forged, or Polygonal. But if you do that, I highly recommend you consider a recoil direction barrel. Any recoil direction barrel gives plus 10 recoil direction, aside from arrowhead break, so it's gonna bring that 90 to 100. So extended barrel gives plus 10 range, plus 10 recoil. At that point, you have what Hammer Forge was giving you, the plus 10 range, but you're getting your recoil to 100. It's negative 10 handling with extended barrel. If you're gonna take away anything from this weapon, it is the best in class 62 handling stat. It goes to 52. And 52 matches what Borrowed Time's base handling is. It's still more than the base of the title. Blood Feud, couple others. Stability-wise, chambered. This time you're getting the plus 10 stability like Polygonal, getting your recoil direction to 100. This one's only negative 5 handling. Goes to 57, and 57 is still higher than any other aggressive frame base handling. So consider those. Lastly, we have full bore. Plus 15 range, negative 10 stability, negative 5 handling. We talked about the handling, it's gonna be fine. Stability goes to 15, which again, is better than most, still double of Cold Front. Do not be scared of 15, 20, 25 stability on this thing. I'm gonna walk through it. Magazine, Seraph rounds. My personal favorite, because it's like 3 magazines in one. Plus 3 range, plus 7 stability, rounds over penetrate targets, bounce off hard surfaces. 0 downsides, it has ricochet, armor piercing, range and stability. 3 mags in one. Accurized is a healthy plus 10 range, appended or attack for PvE, steady rounds, plus 15 stability. For both of my crafted Ikelos SMGs, and I'm a controller player, I have full bore, Seraph rounds, range masterwork. Net plus 28 range, negative 3 stability from base, and negative 5 handling. Keep in mind, as you level this thing up, you get a couple stat points, a couple jumps, and it will go to 24 stability, which is 1 off of its base stability. And that's totally fine. The barrel and mag, pretty big part of it because you start adding in your perk combinations to that, and some of those perks are going to help a stat or two. I've found personally that the base stability is fine. You can control it, it vacuums headshots. It's a great weapon. We have 7 perks in columns 3 and 4 with enhanced perks, and in that third column we have shot swap. Let's start there, and I do want to go through these perks individually with how it's helping this one or not. I believe that shot swap is a good perk. And it's going to be a great perk on certain archetypes, certain weapons. And in the background, you're seeing some shot swap gameplay. Each kill grants 2 stacks of shot swap. You can hold on to them. On those final blows, you get charges. Every time you switch to and from this weapon, it consumes a charge. Now, that charge is going to your ready and stow speed, like quick draw. Similar to how steady hands, it has a duration. You get a kill with steady hands, 7 seconds. All weapons are just super snappy. These charges, you can hold on to them. You can move around the map, bring it out, stow it with the quickness. Really good paired with a quick draw weapon. Like I have a quick draw rose in a lot of this gameplay. It's a good perk, but not quite for the Ikelos SMG. We do have better options. Frenzy, S tier, great on its own. It works with Volt Shot. Nothing else really needs to be said. Shoot to loot, not with everything that this has to offer. Perpetual motion, so if you don't get a specific PvE or the Crucible role, maybe you can't get all the red borders, or maybe you just want to craft a PvP one and it falls with, let's say, Perpetual Motion Volt Shot, it's going to be great. It's fine. Not peak, but it's going to get the job done. Same goes for non-enhanced. With any of these perks, like the base rolls are going to be good. I use Perpetual Motion Volt Shot a good amount and it was fine. The fast reload helps Volt Shot. Maybe you get Tap the Trigger, Rangefinder, Frenzy paired with Perpetual Motion, whatever, it's going to be suitable. The best way to describe it, it just gets the job done. There's no kill trigger, you just go, helps the weapon a pretty good amount. Dynamic Sway, great perk for it, M&K or Controller, because it's one of the only perks in the game that just flat out gives you free accuracy. The stability's tied to RPM, sure, it's going to help. Not crazy noticeable, but the main thing is the accuracy given for free. Threat Detector, it does have a pairing perk, 15 meters end-in. You get a handling scaler, plus 15 reload, plus 15 stability. And this thing gets out over 20 meters, so it's going to be there sometimes, other times not. Couple more enemies, an even faster handling scaler, 55 reload, plus 40 stability. Killing Wind, love it, and I love it on this thing. After a kill, the fastest strafe scaler in the game, plus 20 range, plus 50 mobility, too good. And Enhanced has a longer duration, so you get a kill 5 seconds, it lasts. If you get another kill, it caps at 8. It starts counting back down. In the last column, we have Frenzy. Not going to say anything bad about it, especially with the other things that it gives that gets no street cred. Like, when active, the plus 50 reload, plus 50 handling makes it super fast, super snappy, and you get the 15% more damage. It's a great perk, but there's a lot more to offer. Tap the Trigger, always been a great perk. I just talked about it in length in the Liminal Vigil review. As soon as you fire, you gain accuracy. You get 100 recoil, you get plus 40 stability. And on these, that's a really good thing. It goes almost the duration of the TTK. If you go Enhanced, it does go the duration of the TTK. Enhanced is kind of key on it. Maybe you don't have that many materials. Push comes to shove, you use it on the 4th column, you use it on Tap the Trigger if you go this route. Regardless, it starts your gunfight off strong. Gutshot? No, we're not even going to talk about it. Pugilist? Great perk, but it's not worth picking over what's here. Surrounded, kind of tempting. The pairing perk is Threat Detector. 15 meters in, they're both going off. Enhances more damage, but you need 3 or more enemies around. Again, it's super tempting, but with what's here, especially the next perk, it just kind of gets dusted. Volt Shot. Ever since Tempered Metal came out, we kind of knew what this was. One of the best PvE perks in the game. Get a kill, reload, spread jolt. You can place a jolt on a yellow bar or a boss, keep tagging them, spread the jolt to adds. Elite, especially with the changes to champions. Now, that was my first craft. The PvE one, to me, again, no-brainer. Enhanced Feeding Frenzy, Enhanced Volt Shot. Range Masterwork, full bore, Seraph rounds. So armor piercing, ricochet, you're jolting things, and everything that it jolts and collaterals, it counts as a stack for Feeding Frenzy. It's peanut butter and jelly. It's so good. Constantly reloading in the jolt and getting it out there. Tried, true, dominant. I think it's heavily going to be used in Lightfall. I do, from the campaign to strikes, nightfalls, possibly even the raid. And it's one of those things that I am going to recommend a PvE and PvP role for this thing, because let's just imagine if Funnel Web was craftable. Like, that is another one that you would probably go both routes. This is no different. This one is that good. If you get a random roll with this combination, no plans to grind out the red borders, keep it. Keep Perpetual Motion Volt Shot, Threat Detector Volt Shot, anything that helps the reload with Volt Shot. That brings us to the final perk in the 4th column, Rangefinder. See, a lot of people talking about this and the SMG changes, so let's remember what they did to Rangefinder, and let's remember what Rangefinder does. What they did, they removed the additional 20% bonus on aim assist fall off, and what it does, 10% increased zoom. So let's not forget, the zoom does 4 very important things for a weapon. First thing, adding zoom gives you more stability. We just went over it with Mercules on our podcast again recently. We've gone over it a number of times. When you add zoom, that's accounted for in the shooting experience. So you actually gain stability with more zoom. Number 2, the damage fall off, an obvious one. And that in turn gives us number 3, more aim assist fall off to your weapon. And in turn, the 4th thing, it's all tied together, means more accuracy. period. They took away the bonus 20% aim assist fall off, fine. But that zoom, giving more stability, aim assist fall off, accuracy, and more damage fall off than it would have otherwise without Rangefinder. You're adding all those things in with Rangefinder, do not forget that. Because you consider with the changes to SMGs, they increase the damage and aim assist fall off start at 0 range by around 30%, and they reduce the damage and aim assist fall off start at 100 range by around 6%. So that was somewhat of an equalizer for SMGs, but remember, Rangefinder is an added modifier. An increase. Like, remember in the early days of Destiny 2 where there was a range cap on hand cannons and other weapons? Rangefinder bypassed that cap because it's added on top. It has nothing to do with the range stat. And here's what's cool about Rangefinder. I'll show you in the game. But first, my final craft, full bore, range masterwork, Seraph rounds, killing wind, Rangefinder. Now I'm on controller. Because again, with the range masterwork, the Seraph rounds, the added bump because it's craftable gets to 24 stability, one off of its base. And again, that's 3 times more stability than a lot of these things have. You're adding the zoom, it's also giving stability, so it doesn't even feel like 24. Killing wind's giving all of its benefits. Destiny pretty much takes everything from the hip. Like, I'm sure you've seen in patch notes when they talk about weapons, they say from hip fire. They'll talk about aim assist fall off distance, they'll talk about damage, whatever it is, it's from the hip. All of those numbers that are thrown around aren't just numbers, like it's how it works. It's very precise because from hip fire, think of that as base for a weapon. So my roll has 72 range. So while in hip fire, it hits max damage just a little bit over 15 meters. Let's be like less generous. Let's say just 15.1. It could be 15.2, 15.3, we'll say 15.1. Well, it has a base 1.4 times zoom, or a 14 zoom. That is the zoom modifier while you aim down sights with this SMG at base. So to get that fall off, 15.1 times 1.4. So the fall off for this SMG at base is 21.14 meters. But this thing has Rangefinder. It's a 10% increase. So that is 1.1. So you take your zoom, 1.4 times 1.1. So the zoom value for this SMG with Rangefinder is actually 1.54. You know, right behind Terabah's 1.6. Like, think about that for a second. Now, 1.54, the new zoom level, times its hip fire fall off distance, 15.1. So the fall off with Rangefinder with 72 range is 23.25 meters. And would you look at that? That's pretty much what you see. That's pretty cool, right? Not to mention, this has 72 range. If I had Acarize, it would be 79. Leveling it up, it would get past 80. With Killing Wind, it would get to 100. And right now, my Killing Wind total is 92 range, with a Rangefinder increase on top of that. So to me, like first and foremost, it would be really different if this thing was just all over the place. It's not. Like, I've used a lot of these aggressives that are poor statted, and they are miserable. This thing, no. It's a dream. I've had zero issue dotting people up with it with full bore because everything statted together pretty much gets its stability right back where it was, but you're going into that range stat. A big part of this, of why I went this route, is all that range with the zoom modifier, with the stability it's giving. It's great. Like 100 out of 100 times, I'm personally taking that 2 meters over anything else. The other perks for PvP would probably go to tap the trigger. It's definitely not gut shot, not pugilist. It's probably tap the trigger. So that might be a play for some of you, but I don't think that it's hard to control. Yes, it gives good bonuses like accuracy. Yes, it gets the stability plus 40, but currently I think it's a laser without it. And in this space, that 23 plus meter fall off is the difference, because that is plus Killing Wind on top of that, getting into that 24, 24.4 range. That is all the difference in the world. Lots of value. And again, I'm on controller. In that space, a ton of other SMGs, Terabah's getting ready to get hit, a lot of sidearms. The 2 meters matter. They do. Not to mention, even more than that, are the meters when you start getting into fall off. So this thing's hitting a little over 23, doing 22 per crit. When it starts hitting 19s, you're at 24-ish, 25 meters. Like, it all matters. We do have things like perpetual motion tap the trigger, dynamic sway tap the trigger, killing wind tap. Those are going to be good. Like, none of those are bad at all. But I value Rangefinder getting over those SMG changes. Just like it did in Destiny 1. There was also a cap in Destiny 1 that Rangefinder bypassed. Just like it did in early Destiny 2 that it bypassed on hand cannons. Just like it's doing right now after all these changes. And what's fun about it, that journey to craft this thing, there's a number of roles for you to try. In theory, you're going to get tap the trigger somewhere. You're going to get dynamic somewhere. Maybe not, of course, a good pairing perk, but you can feel it out. Try it. And we're all different. I gave you pretty clear reasons why I went the route that I did. And what's so nice about these high value, highly desirable, dominant craftable weapons is that if anything gets changed, you can go back and change out a perk or two. This one's worth it, and I really hope you get what you want before Lightfall. This thing's going to be a workhorse for the next year. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about the Ikelos V3 SMG down below. What did you craft? What are you liking about it? Or if there's anything that you don't like, let us know down below. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.